Stardate. Wait, what was the start?
97777.34. Welcome.
Welcome. We are the
Captainless.
We're captainless.
Clearly.
Lost in space.
That's a different show.
We are the crew of the Star Trek Discovery Pod, and we are here to talk about Picard, Season 1, Episode 7.
And we are the #1 podcast about space pizza and dead siblings. Such a nice pairing.
That's so odd. Odd.
My name is Grant Davis, and the one place in the Star Trek universe I'd go hide out for a while is inside of a Gormander on a comet.
Ooh, good one. Nice
Seems
reference.
like a good hiding spot, right?
That's a spot.
You did it.
That's what you want to do.
That's what I want to do.
And my name is Mariah, and I would go to Betazoid because it's full of women going through the phase, and they are super connected to their feelings, and that sounds really nice.
Okay. My name is Clyde Haynes, and if there's one place I could hide out, come on, it's Risa, the resort pleasure planet.
Oh,
Why not?
good
I
call.
don't even know about Risa.
It's good stuff, man.
Have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a
I'm gonna hang
good
out.
time.
It's like the place to be.
Is it kind of like what was that Bruce Willis movie where they have that vacation planet?
Fifth Element?
Fifth Element.
Yeah.
It's got to be about the same, right?
Sure.
As long as there's a Chris Tucker there, then I'm in.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that would be fun.
Gang, Trekkies, as you might have noticed, our noble captain is missing. He's missing in action. He's lost in space. We have
Kubert.
Mr. Kubert here as a replacement. Is he French? Is Kubert not French?
He's not, but we've
I
decided
guess he
he's
is
French.
now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Much like Picard is French.
Kubert. Oh, wait, is he in this camera shot? There he is.
There's Kubert.
Kubert. Hey, and if you guys are checking us out for the first time, welcome. We do a live stream every Thursday night
Yes,
at
it's Thursday,
9
Grant.
p.m. Central Time.
That's what time it is right now.
I'm holding it together, Clyde.
I know. I'm with you. Sort of.
We got this.
Okay.
We're a team.
But you
Yeah.
can watch us. We're going to live stream every episode of Picard all the way through. And if enough of you participate, we're going to do it again for Star Trek Discovery for the next season, which is coming soon. They
Oh, I
just
can't wait.
wrapped on filming. I'm so excited. But go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Hit it.
Hit that notification bell so you know when we're going live.
We also are doing podcasts, so you can just go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. You didn't get to check us out live. You want to listen to us in your car, you can listen to us however you want.
It's a great way to listen.
Yeah.
Anywhere you get your podcasts.
And we're live right now, as you mentioned, Grant. So if you want to interact with us, we'd love to hear from you. Just make sure that you type in capital POD pod in the chat on YouTube, and we'll get to your questions. Maybe.
Towards the end of the episode.
I mean, that's on me this week. So if I see it, I'll make sure I get to it. But if I don't see it, then I'm sorry.
You know what else is useful?
What?
Tag us. Just do an @ symbol and then Star Trek Pod, and tag us before you write something. I think that makes it like a little bit more highlighted. You can also see it that way.
Okay, I like it.
Easy way to see it.
But again, probably we'll get to those at the end of the episode. Maybe we'll pepper in some here and there as we go through.
If they're really good.
We don't want to belabor too much our intro, our preamble. We want to get into talking about the episode, but we do want to remind you guys real quick, if you are checking us out and you haven't joined us over on patreon.com/Star Trek Pod, please go and do that. Make a per episode pledge, give us $2 an episode, and you'll gain exclusive access to our Slack channel where you can come chat with us about theories, about spoilers for the episode, other stuff going on in the Star Trek universe. We'd love to have you guys there. So patreon.com/Star Trek Pod.
There's a new channel just for talking about books.
Books.
Talk about the books.
You read books, Clyde.
I do read books. I like books. Books are good.
I'm illiterate.
Books are fun.
I don't read them.
We can help you, Grant.
There's notes that Mike left me here trying to read these, and I'm
We've
like,
gone so far off, but I'm going to bring us back
This is
to at least
unfair.
get us to the beginning, which is that tonight we're breaking down episode 7, Nepenthe,
Nepenthe.
which was written by Samantha Humphrey and Chabon, as Mike would say,
Shabown!
and directed by Doug. I'm going to mispronounce
You can do this. You can
it.
do this.
Aronofsky. Nope.
Arnie Okoski.
That one. That's it. which Doug has directed some episodes of Discovery. So glad to have him back.
Very cool.
Doing some Picard.
I'm a fan.
It's going to be a good time.
We'll be the judge of that. That's what we do here. We're going to judge it. Are you guys ready for some hot takes?
Hot freaks! We did
Wait,
it.
Did you say hot freaks?
I did say hot
Frakes.
freaks. He's here. Frakes
Oh, boy.
is in the app.
I'll go ahead and kick things off. Episode 7, I thought was pretty fun overall. I really enjoyed seeing Nepenthe, this not Earth, but totally on budget Earth. It's the same planet, so easier to shoot.
Had
but
some
different.
extra moons and planets and stuff in the skyline.
It's like, what if we didn't destroy planet Earth? That's what it would look like.
The ground is super fertile. They
Yeah.
get these really dope tomatoes.
It was also really fun seeing how Picard interacted with Riker and Troy,
Yes.
trying to get these names right. And it was a bit refreshing to have him interact with people who love him, like, regardless, unequivocally. Like, it was just like kind of pure love and support for him, and knowing when to properly challenge him to bring out the best in him. And I don't know, that felt good after it just being like crap on Picard fest for like so many episodes.
You know, I thought about that as we were watching, and I'm thinking, wow, is this the first time that he's shown up to someone and they were actually happy?
Well,
see
Hugh
him?
last week, but
Well, Hugh, yeah.
Hugh was all about him.
Yeah, but it was different because
yeah.
these were supposed to be, like, Hugh was somebody he interacted with. Everybody else was supposed to be someone he had these long-standing relationships with. And when he shows up, it's like, why the hell are you here? And this was the first time it was like, oh, so good to see you. It felt a little weird. Like, I was like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, I think that overall this felt like a fun episode that kind of explored what's going on with Soji. There might have been some parts I have some problems with, but overall, I like where they're kind of building up to and putting all the pieces together. What was going on the ship was interesting. I didn't mind Narek being in his own spaceship chasing him down. Like, everything felt like I'm really comfortable with this show, and I'm engaged with where it's going. Yes.
Yeah.
What about you, Mariah?
So overall, I enjoyed the episode.
You're like, it's shit.
Overall, that would be a weird one for me. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. There were a few. I really thought we were finally going to get off the Borg cube because I was a little bored of it, but now they might be making me not bored of it anymore because something's definitely going to happen next week with whatever after the SOS signal goes off.
Elf Boy
Comes back. But yeah, I was a little like, I feel like we're tossing away some characters onto this Borg cube. I also have to say the Hugh and the XB death was like, I didn't really like it. I didn't like it.
Oh, yeah, that's some bullshit.
It was some bullshit.
They should not have done that to us.
I also thought it was funny after all. I wonder if they changed the edit in the cold open. And this was like my first thought of the entire episode of when she throws up, the camera cuts up so you don't actually see her throw up. And I was like, do you think it's because everyone went crazy over the eyeball like scene from a couple episodes ago, and they're just like, oh, no one's into the gore.
Oh, they're
gonna
trying
make
to
sure.
Trying to
We
tone
can
it
just
down a
crop
little
that
bit.
real quick.
I'll just crop that real quick. But then I came to the point where I was like, maybe it's just because she throws up so much in this episode. They felt like she didn't need to do it that much
She's got
on
a lot
camera.
of hurl in her, so we
Lot-
don't need to.
A lot of voms happening. But anyway, overall, I liked it. I have a few nits to pick specifically about some of the stuff happening on the Borg cube. But I really loved I always love being on an alien planet, even when that alien planet just looks like it's probably British Columbia, because we know they shoot a lot in Canada. But I'm in. It looks like it kind of reminded me of my grandfather's house, specifically in British Columbia. So I had like a good deep nostalgia feel there.
Aw.
Plus, all of the security features made me think like he's gotten a little like, you know, those people who have all the cameras all over their house and they have the signs everywhere. That's
little
just like,
tinfoil hat.
yeah, just a little bit. But I was like, I mean, it's useful in this situation, but when else do you need all of this
Yeah.
security? Like, what's happening?
When
Really
you're
poured a lot
Riker,
of
yeah.
money in there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my hot take.
Clyde, what are you thinking?
I gotta say, I love the episode. I mean, I absolutely love the episode. It was fun. It felt a little lighter than what we've had so far.
Agreed.
You've got elf warriors You got a spaceship.
And unicorn rabbits? Is that
And
what those were?
Bunnycorns.
Bunnycorns?
You've got an alien planet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Marina Sirtis. Like, what else do I have to say?
I like that they
Deanna
kept
Troi.
her deep V-neck.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even notice the deep V.
There was some deep V happening.
And I also thought that it was, well, first, I got to say that the acting in this episode was just amazing. Like, hand clap to Alison Peel, who in my notes I like to refer to as A. Dot.
A dot.
A. Dot. But I thought the acting was great. It really brought me in. And I thought what Troy and Riker brought was absolutely amazing. They really had this sense of, I know you, but there's so much more depth to what's going on. And I realized that when we watch the old TNG and the old Voyager and the old DS9, it wasn't very deep. The characters weren't complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they throw these backstories every once in a while to give you a little, a little something. But what we've seen in the years that have passed is characters have become much more three-dimensional, much more complex, much more flawed. And we get that now. We see this depth of character. I think this worked more for me from a character building standpoint than any of the other episodes. So yeah, I loved it.
I agree with that.
All right. Well, guys, I think it's time for us to do a little bit more of a deep-ass dive. A deep-ass...
Romulan ass deep.
Gotta go Romulan ass
Deep into
deep.
some Romulan. Yep.
So, Clyde, kick us off. Let's talk about that opening cold open scene.
Well, the opening scene, I'm always hesitant with like a flashback. When you open with a flashback, because I think it can be a little gimmicky if you do it too much. And I feel like by the time we get to episode 7, they've done it a lot. So I was a little hesitant, but I wanted to know what that conversation was.
Yeah. Well, every episode is opened with a flashback.
Yeah, I know.
So.
And it's like, that's what I'm saying. We're 7 in. It's like, oh, what's this? Wait for it. 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. And it also, I was a little concerned. So this was the part where, even though I love the episode, I was a little concerned because I was like, well, at first, you're going to tell me everything that I've already known.
Right.
Right? Is it Jurati is not a good person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
by good person, I mean she's a spy for not the Tal Shiar, the Jacquemont.
Well,
is that what it's called?
I mean, right
Something
now
like
we
that.
only know that she is a spy on behalf of the Federation.
Yeah, but
Technically, but like,
okay.
yeah.
Linearly, if we talk about the code open, yes.
Yes.
Later on, it becomes a little bit clear that
It's the Tal Shiar.
it's Tal Shiar.
Yeah.
So I kind of looked at that and was like, all right, but I kind of wanted to see the pieces so that we could kind of put that rumor to bed. But I don't know. What did you think of the code open, Mariah?
I mean, I liked. I always love a good mind meld scene. I was trying to just figure out, because these are obviously a prophecy, right?
Yes.
Because none of these events have actually happened that we know of.
Right.
Although we do love time travel in Star Trek, so who knows? But I didn't know. I guess my question is, can Vulcans like mind meld just ideas of thoughts rather than actual memories of things? You know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it feels a little complicated. I guess so.
Can you show future events, I guess, in these mind melds? Is it things that are likely to occur, or is this absolute destiny? And is there a fate and destiny in Star Trek, or can you kind of reshape the future?
Yeah.
Because isn't Star Trek 4 all about that? Isn't that like where they go back and they make clear glass and save a whale or some shit?
Yes.
Voyage
we
Home?
do love Voyage Home. We love saving the whales.
Okay.
I wonder if what we're talking about here, though, is if Commandant O, maybe she's from a mirror universe. Where in the mirror universe,
those sunglasses are acceptable.
I'm just saying, well, maybe. Well, because I mean, I think it's interesting. The one thing the cold open did give me is it gave me doubt for the first time. Right? We'd had this question about whether or not Soji was the destroyer, and I was like, never, nope, it just doesn't fit.
Right.
This was the first time I actually had some doubt on whether or not she could be the destroyer. and maybe I'm on the wrong side.
I mean, I feel like a common theme is like the idea that you can change as a person. And so maybe she is supposedly, air quotes, destined to be the destroyer. But what if she gets to make the choice? It's like if she hadn't found Picard, maybe she would have become the destroyer because of everything that happened with Nark. It's like maybe Nark was really the catalyst for her becoming the destroyer, but now there's an additional piece in her puzzle that's now happening.
Or what if Picard is so lost, he's a lost soul, and he just corrupts her at the end? The Borg Locutus part of Picard's like, nah, Soji, let's just fuck this whole thing up. Let's destroy it.
I don't know. We're going to see. I'm very interested. Also, is this happening on her home planet, or is this happening because the Romulan home planet is gone?
Right. And I think one of the questions that we've got in the chat is whether or not Commodore O is a Romulan actually and not a Vulcan.
I don't think Romulans can mind meld, though.
And the commenter wants to know, do we know that for sure?
I did a little research on this.
Nice.
And typically Romulans cannot mind meld because
they're synthetics.
No, because their emotions in current canon, their emotions are too much for them to be able to do that with another person, right? Because they've pushed back against the logic of the Vulcans, and so the Vulcans are able to do it because they can logically put their mind to that task, but the Romulans would just get too angry if it stopped working. You know what I mean? No, I guess they just don't have enough focus.
I'm distracted because I'm fascinated by what made you look that up.
What made me look it up?
Yeah, I mean, at what point did you go, I wonder if Romulans can mind meld?
Well, because we've been talking about whether or not she is a Vulcan or a Romulan, and so I was like, can Romulans mind meld? Because then this answers my question, and then she's a Vulcan.
Yeah. Okay.
Supposedly. Could change.
I'm convinced she's a Vulcan.
She was giving off some pretty hardcore Morpheus from Matrix movies vibes, right? Like with the glasses and how she talked very.
And then she makes her take a pill.
And then she opens up with the blue pill. Take the blue pill.
But that's why I think that's why I'm convinced she's a Vulcan. Because
really experience reality.
I don't know. The Romulans that we see, at least in this series, are incredibly emotional.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
honestly, Narg is maybe one of the more rational ones I think I've seen. His sister, on the other hand,
Narg has more chill than any of the other Romulans that we've been exposed to.
He's definitely more methodical as well. He's like, no, there's a better way to kind of do this. Don't be impulsive. Don't just just murder. Like his sister.
He does also seem like a sociopath, but
yeah, but he has a heart because he cried. Remember, Clyde? He shed a tear for her as he tried to murder her.
Yeah, I mean, as he tried to murder her.
But yes, then we're back on the ship with Rafi, Rios,
Sirena,
the Sirena
ship.
Yeah, they're caught in the tractor beam.
They're stuck in a tractor beam, and it seemed kind of like, I don't know. There's a part where she goes, "Can't you just?" Or he goes, "Can't you just hack it, Rafi? Just hack into the system."
Just hack it. It sounds like my parents. Yeah. Like every time something's wrong with their computer, you can fix this, right? Can't you just hack it? You can fix it.
One time I made I was making some videos, and my uncle goes, "Oh, that's cool. You know what you should do? Make it go viral. You should just go viral because everyone who goes viral, they do really well. So make it go viral." And I was like,
I'll get right on that.
Just hack it.
Words said by people who have no idea what's actually going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching, is that possible? Because I'm pretty sure I've never seen anyone hack a tractor beam.
Yeah, me neither. And
block a tractor beam, maybe.
Maybe. And she still didn't do it, but I don't know if anyone else noticed. She was zooming in on what looked like some sort of language, and I couldn't tell if she was just looking at if that was Borg language, but I thought the Borg stuff was all
it was
tiny, weird.
It was all these
codey
circles, and
it seemed
drawings, like the alien language from what was that movie? Arrival. Remember those squid things?
The weird squiddy
they drew
circles?
In circles and how they drew it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was wondering if that's gonna come up later. Like maybe she found something in there, and if that'll come back. But it was just it felt like a detail they wanted us to see, and I was like, but it never came back up in the rest of the episode, so I didn't know what it meant.
I want to talk a little bit about Rafi while we're kind of on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I felt that she was very inconsistent as a character in this episode as opposed to the person we've been led to believe she is in previous episodes. I thought she was playing a bigger mind game against Dr. Girardi.
Oh, yeah.
And was like, oh, let me get you cake. Let me get you all this
hoping.
to try and do something.
I mean,
but ultimately it did not pay off. It seemed
Yeah.
like she was being genuine. And I was like, you are the person who's in head of security. You already should have been suspecting Girardi. You knew that you didn't do a background check on her. And instead, they threw me off, like the writers, by having it be that Rios suspects Rafi rather than Rafi suspecting Girardi.
I think this is like a twist turn. So I think Rios and Rafi
are playing her
100%, and she went in with the I'm going to try to be the nice good cop bad cop situation, you know. So she's going in, and she wanted to get her drunk or high was what she thought was going to happen.
She's like, sugar high, I guess. Either way, to make you puke.
Yeah, I'll
cake?
just
I want cake.
Cake, okay, we'll get you some cake. And so I think she was trying to play that like nice. After it shifted, she's like, oh, well, I can't get you just like drunk and get you to confess. Instead,
Was she drugging her in some way with the chocolate milk and all that?
No, I think she was just like, I'll just give in to your every whim at this point and try to befriend you. And then when that doesn't work, then Rios goes in with the switcheroo.
Well, so this is what I struggle with in this episode, because I agree, Grant, but I don't think it was just kind of Rafi, right? I really looked and I was expecting that everyone had to be suspicious of her motives. I mean, to Rafi's point, Rafi was the one who said from the minute that she joined, like, why do you want to be on this so fast? Right? Like, I thought that everyone would look at her kind of suspiciously. And yet now it's like, oh, you poor child. And I could see, and Karen Lynn also mentioned this, is that it was almost motherly, right? It was kind of like, well, I have issues with my son, so I'm gonna
surrogate
a surrogate daughter.
I mean, yeah, that can definitely be wrapped in.
But
there.
it and then for Rafi then to turn and then look at Rafi, like for Rios to turn and look at Rafi like, well, maybe it's her. That just seemed a little too quick, right? How could you not look at this person who's acting crazy, right? Who was trying to sleep with you a minute ago, now is, can we just get out of here, and rush to be on this journey in the beginning. Red flags, that's your problem. But everybody just kind of looked past
I think they all have seen them. And I think next week's flashback is going to be the two of them with the hologram. Conspiring about, the hologram being like, dude, she killed that dude. And now they're all like...
Because, I mean, no one's talking about that, right?
Yeah. I think...
Even hologram snitches
I
get
think the
stitches,
hologram
guys.
is going to snitch, and that is next week's flashback.
I mean, you might be right, but it's just kind of weird. It's jarring to the characters that we know within this episode as we digest it on its own merits. It felt like characters were acting out of character, and it confused me. And they didn't really give me any hints that it was
I felt because it was
con.
so heavy-handed that it
did
is
feel
the bigger con.
I don't know. I think that I wish there was a little bit more of an indication that that's what they were doing, because it didn't seem like they indicated that their actions had higher stakes, I guess, for me to go like, oh, obviously they're doing a little switcheroo here.
Yeah, I mean, it
we'll
very well could be an act. I don't know. Oh, by the way, fearless Captain Mike Moody is in the chat.
Oh, Mike.
How are we doing?
Get down here. do not criticize us. We need this.
Hey, I'm glad if he's sick, he's not here, because I don't want any germs.
So while we're on the topic of Girardi, Home Cheeky in our Slack channel, which you should join if you become a Patreon, has asked, why did Narek lose the connection to Girardi if she was just in a coma? And I think whatever she injected into herself kills the tracking.
It's like it contained a neurotoxin.
Yeah.
Apparently, you can just go up to the 3D replicator thing and say, "Can I get a nanobot killer or whatever?"
I mean, you can get anything from those things.
I mean, they are a replicator. They do.
That's pretty magical,
whatever.
Including red velvet cake.
Man, wow.
That cake looked good.
I'm not really a red velvet fan, so it didn't move me.
Yeah.
It was a big piece of cake, so I was like...
And there was 3 plates on that
table. I was
table.
like, if you're going to do it, this is the way you do it.
She did it up like proper with at least 3 slices of cake and the glasses of milk would kill me. But
I thought they were gonna take shots. I thought she definitely was gonna give her some of that like snake weed or whatever
right, like
she was
just be
doing.
like, and then she's got the munchies, and that's why she's going down on that cake.
But that didn't happen.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on the Borg cube this episode with the execution of the Borg to try and get Hugh to flip initially, or to not flip, but rather like divulge where he sent Picard and Soji.
You mean the meaningless red shirt death that we had to endure?
Yeah. How did you guys feel about that? It seemed a little bit too easy. Like there's no weight, and if this show's trying to sell us the value of even
XBs.
these XBs, their life mattering, sure didn't seem it in this episode.
Yeah, this is my biggest nit to pick is the stuff on the Borg cube this week. So first of all, we ended last week's episode with our elfin warrior taking the stance to protect Hugh in the hallway as it's closing. And then this week we open up and they've already captured Hugh. Elf boy's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, where the hell was he?
Like I feel like there's a big gap of and what could have been a cool battle scene, like if they, some of them broke him off and took him to another corner and then Hugh gets captured, like something was missing where I felt like, why is Hugh already like...
A lot of the editing in this episode was
hard.
weird. Like they wrote one script and then they just took what they had already shot and tried to make something else happen. Like Hugh's not there at the beginning. There's all the weird stuff with the interaction with Girardi. You were mentioning something else that like seemed the framing of like the puking. Like maybe they're them trying to like change that narrative. It just seemed like there were certain things that didn't fit. And I don't know why.
It was, so that's my biggest thing is how did Hugh get captured when we left last week with him having someone who was there to protect him? And then like, where did he go? And why wasn't he there sooner to at least try to protect the little XBs who did nothing? And I thought it was like so heart-wrenching to watch Hugh lose these, essentially go through the same thing as Seven, like lose his Borg children that he's like taken back. And then
only for them to kill him too.
However, I do think so. I just if you all our patrons, I'm going to just keep plugging our Patreon. So we talked about episodes that we that had an impact on us from Star Trek across all of the shows, and the one that I talked about was from Voyager, where Seven brings back Neelix using Borg tech, and so you can revive the body for, she said, like up to 72 hours later. And so I'm wondering if she's going to bring Hugh back using that same tech, because it was just injected little like nanobots essentially.
If this is a tangent, but one of our icebreakers should be your least favorite Star Trek character.
And yours is going to be Neelix.
It's definitely going to be Neelix.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say
I'm
that.
not going to bring him back.
Maybe they can bring him back from the mycelial network as well.
Oh, bring Hugh back through the mycelial network.
Whatever.
But
Maybe Dr. Stamets will just be like, "Shoom, hey, you guys need to pull another character you love out of the mushroom place."
I struggle with this a bit because I did want to know where was Elnor, and we lost Hugh. I was disappointed that we lost Hugh in such a way, because if Elnor is supposed to be this magical elf warrior princess almost, then why?
WTF, mate? Like, what happened?
I'm just saying, like, right there. Just it was.
Also,
it was so
I
close.
just feel like a knife to the artery should be something that is fixable in the Star Trek magical universe.
Right.
They fix
True.
everything. So
you can have a congenial heart defect, and they can fix it with like.
Picard doesn't even
some
have a
magic
human
tricks.
heart anymore.
No, it's like titanium.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a quick dart
A quick dart to the throat.
artery, you're done.
Out of here.
Well, also, I mean, it was one thing to kill the Borg, the XBs, and have the weight of that weigh on Hugh, who's made that his life mission. That the story beat of that kind of maybe getting back to Soji and like how she related to them and thought there's redemption in bringing people back from this idea of being programmed and controllable, like maybe she sometimes feels. But we didn't even get to continue the exploration of how Hugh deals with the weight of that, because then they kill him in the same episode, and it seems like not only a missed opportunity, but it seems kind of counter to whatever larger theme, at least I'm inferring they were aiming for.
So I'll tell you what I was thinking is that I was wondering if this is going to lead us to the ex-Borg Romulan captain who's all crazy.
Oh, the queen that they have right now.
No, she's the one that Soji was talking to.
Oh, the tarot card reader lady.
The tarot card reader. So I'm wondering if, because Hugh says you
need another Borg.
You need a Borg. Right? If that's going to bring, and she's going to have a prominent role back in.
I just assumed the Borg was going to be 7 because of the SOS signal.
Could be, which is a whole nother
options. Maybe they'll bring them both in, and then they'll kill the other lady.
Who knows? They seem down to...
I mean, it definitely will. I mean, 7 will be there, but...
Oh my god, if they kill 7, I can't.
They're killing everybody else.
Can they? Is this after? This is after Voyager, right? Is she from Voyager?
She's from Voyager, yes.
And this is after the events of that? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I guess she's expendable. We'll see.
I can't. But what did y'all think of, so if we jump down to the planet now and sort of Picard's sort of journey that's happening, I liked what was the daughter's name? Kestra. I thought she was
Wildling.
The little wildling child.
Yeah.
She seemed like, an accurate, I think, portrayal of someone whose parents are this like seemingly over-secure wild man of the mountain now / someone who has this like, very
really empathetic,
lustrous history with the Federation, and then like a mom who is like partially psychic and empathetic. I thought it was like a good little combo kid.
I liked her. I mean, I'm usually not a huge fan of the children that they bring on to the show. Yeah. But I thought Kestra I think she nailed it.
Talking to you, Wesley Crusher. Maybe. People didn't like him, right?
I thought she was a good...
I think Mike had a whole thing with Alexander Rodchenko, but Worf's son. But I liked Kestra.
Yeah, I thought it was like a fun way to intro the planet. You land and you're like, oh crap, they're already in trouble. And then it was like, oh, JK, she's like a pacifist. Although then she kills a unicorn bunny or whatever they are.
Bunnicorn.
Which is such a funny name.
So this may be more nitpicking, but they take a Stargate. I can say it. They take a Stargate all the way across like 4,000 miles, whatever, 40,000 light years. I don't even know what it is.
Mixing your like sci-fi shows.
I have to have other references to other things. And not only are they able to shoot them to this planet, they're able to shoot them right into the backyard of Riker. Like, how does Hugh even know where they live?
I sometimes wonder about that when they like
shenanigans
beam down to planets. I'm like, how do you know this is the right place you should be?
That's a big ass planet.
It is a big
Or
planet.
was it not?
No, that's a good point.
Was that planet the size of like this building?
Yeah, no.
What's going on here?
I mean, you might have expected them to like
have to journey around for a little bit.
Road trip or something, but no.
I mean, I get it. It's a narrative shortcut to just kind of get to the action, but at the same time,
maybe it's like I feel like there's another show where you could just like you thought of the place where you wanted to end up, and that's where you ended up on the other side.
Ah, okay. It's a more of a spiritual Stargate.
No, it was like anyway. There's another show where you went through a gate and you just had to think about where you wanted to.
Yeah,
end
that's
up.
Harry Potter and Flu Powder. That's what you're thinking.
Yes, there it is.
I know what this is. I thought that the conversation that was happening like right off the bat with Soji and the Wildling girl, as they're just like walking together, and she's like, "Oh, hey, I have a compass," and like talking about like pointing yourself to like finding your direction in life, and I'm like, "Come on." Who just meets someone and like is this precocious that they're having this kind of conversation?
I've definitely met those kids though, who are just like, ooh, new people. Also, she just lives in the wilderness with their parents.
I get it. Right. She's Nell. She needs
her
her
best friend is an old captain with a broken ship.
Right. She's like someone closer to my age.
Yeah.
I did think that Soji felt quite a bit young here.
But I think it's partly because she's realizing that how young she is.
Yeah, but I feel like prior to this,
Like they call her a teenager, and so all of a sudden I was like, huh?
that felt a little weird and creepy. But before this, we have seen her as an authority figure,
Mm-hmm.
a sexual being, right? I mean, when you think about her and Narek,
Right.
right? She's a warrior.
And I know. Did you notice
She's
she
a-
told him to not call her doctor anymore?
She's a medical professional,
She's-
though, but like,
so
Yeah.
we've seen her really established as this kind of older character,
Mm-hmm.
right? Here, she did feel like she was a teenager. Like the way she looked, the way they shot her, her facial expressions, it was like, wow, she's really struggling with this.
they were
And it's
kidifying her all of a sudden.
They really
and
were, which made me look at Narek in a very weird way. I was like, dude, you're kind of creepy.
She's only 3.
I mean, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah, I did think it was just an interesting thought of like, do you ever, when you like go home to visit family, like revert back to some of your like childhood teenager nuances?
Yeah.
Because I almost felt like that. She's like, oh, I'm in like sort of a place that feels more like a home. I've obviously never had a real quote unquote home. So maybe I'm going to act a little bit more like, Mom, why? You know, like, stop it.
But she doesn't have that appropriate like frame of reference, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's programmed in there somewhere that she had an adolescence.
Mm.
At
I
some
don't know.
I don't know.
I agree though. It did seem like for the convenience of the narrative, they definitely made her more juvenile. And
I did find it kind of creepy when the kid was just drawing her while she was sleeping, though. It was very like, ooh.
kid was creepy. Ran up to give her a hug after like talking to her for like a day, and
Yeah.
gave her compass. I'm
Although
like, all right, what's this?
that
Well,
that
Very
hug
close.
between Riker, Troy, and Picard at the very end was very sensual.
Okay.
I was like,
So here's the thing I thought about
Y'all
Kestra, though,
into
and
each
why
other?
I think she
you're not gonna. You're just
You know.
gonna push
I'm
past that.
I'm moving right past that. I'm just gonna go like left and then right and go right past.
I'm
that.
already writing my fanfic
I
about
know.
this.
But I thought that what Kestra saw in Soji was her older brother, and it was this longing of, because they said that last week he would have turned 18, and so it was
he
kind
could
of
have
like
been saved by a synthetic.
a positronic brain.
Yep.
And so I felt like she was kind of just clinging to this thought of you're a surrogate for my brother. And I loved her little thing, like when she talked about Picard and saying, you know, he's not your father, but he could be, and you could be
His kid.
his kid. Like you kind of need each other. And I was like, oh, Hallmark moment.
Very much a Hallmark moment.
Yeah.
She said that, and I was just like, "Come on, what the hell? This is leading the audience. Like,
I think
telling the audience
he does
not
need
leading.
something, and he even said it. He's looking at her as like, I have a mission now, and so there's something there that he needs.
I just met you, daughter.
Well, and we clearly know he's never had kids.
Yeah.
Right. And
Uh,
now he doesn't have to change diaper. He's like 3-year-old who's grown. Kind of the best of both worlds.
Skip it.
I wanted to talk to you guys about, of course, Riker
And his
and
pizza?
Troy showing up and the pizza. My notes are pretty simple. I just wrote, Riker is big, Picard is little. And then because of the size difference, I'm like,
I
shit,
mean-
I thought Patrick Stewart's like a regular size. Is that dude really tall?
He is very tall. Also, on TNG, they used to put, anytime they were in scenes together, they would put Stewart on apple boxes to make them look more similar in size. And I
Interesting.
think, you
They're
know,
embracing the size difference here.
they were, and I think so. The recapper I always read, Keith Phipps from Vulture, who helps me put things into context before I come on the episode in the evenings. He was mentioning that I think it was a good visual cue for how the roles have sort of reversed in this instance, where Riker is really the one who is leading him to come to a decision and is being sought after for guidance, whereas like those roles were obviously flipped on TNG. So I
Now
thought it
Picard
was
calls him daddy.
Exactly.
Adding to my fanfic.
You're welcome.
One area that I got distracted and struggled because I'm a Trek nerd and have read the Titan books. So these are the stories of
Riker.
kind of Riker's ship with Troy and kind of moving on. It didn't quite line up. So I was trying to figure out like what has happened. Like what was I might even be more interested in what's been going on with Riker since the end of the Enterprise.
Right.
So
Yeah, because it seems like, he had his time on his ship, and then, the death. It seems like the death of their son was really the catalyst for this new sort of back to basics lifestyle for them, where they are, growing their own food, living in some alternative version of British Columbia, and and hanging out in a dope log
with a
cabin.
shield generator,
and with a great pizza oven.
I mean, it was a pretty impressive pizza oven. Like, that's not like your standard pizza oven, which is interesting if you've pretty much spent most of your life eating out of a replicator.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting change of lifestyle.
Was it like a good emotional moment for you guys to see their interaction, or was it kind of like whatever?
I mean, I don't know that I've ever thought of myself as like a hardcore Frakes fan, but there was something there about seeing him and Troy that felt more authentic than any other kind of character that they brought up. It was like this makes sense. This does feel good.
Also, we are also back to my favorite character of all time, a therapist. So a therapist is on screen, and I appreciate it.
Not only was she on screen, but I was thinking, man, everything's a little bit too feel good. And then she just dresses down Picard again. I'm like, my favorite thing about this show, shitting on Picard because Picard acts like a dick.
Well, I mean, but for me, this one actually felt okay.
Right.
Right. Because when you walk with somebody for like 35 years, when you've gone through all the stuff that they've been through, it's like we've got to experience the fact that
she's earned the right to
on
tell
a weekly basis, they almost died. Right. Like they had to save each other and the universe like on a weekly basis.
Right.
So when you go through that and you walk with somebody for 35 years, you get to call them a dick.
Yep.
Right. Like you get to go, you are out of line. Everybody else, like when Rafi does this, like, well, I don't know you.
Yeah, but I also felt like she did it in her Troy way, which is just like from a place of emotion and empathy, and is really like, hey, you're not okay.
Yeah.
How can we fix this?
Not only was he not okay, when they went to Thad's room, it felt like, she's probably already dealt with the grief for long enough. I don't think you need Picard going like, this is really tough, huh? It just felt like he was needling.
Yeah. Well, I felt like he needed that, like, oh, you can make fun of my emotions, I'm going to make fun of yours for a minute.
See, I just thought that it showed that he hadn't seen them in a long time. So for him, it was kind of like, wow. It was almost as though he was saying,
but you're feeling the pain in a whole new other way. Or something.
I thought he was saying, wow, I didn't know how deep this was for you. And I've been kind of a jerk because clearly, again, I was over here by myself while you guys were going through all of this.
Oh, wait.
I did love the one moment when he was like, can I drink this wine? And he like pours it and then he like looks at the bottle. And I was like, that's the most winemakery thing I've seen him do on the whole show. It's just like, what is this, swill? Like,
This is not my stuff.
Did you say something about Troy being psychic or something? Wait.
She's a Beta Z.
Yeah, which have like sort of telepathic capabilities, so they can feel what other people are feeling.
So that's what he meant when she would feel it even more intense.
A full Beta Z can actually read your thoughts.
Yeah, but
she's half
yeah.
Beta Z, so she can feel what your emotions are, how you feel, things like that.
So would that was what Picard was saying? Because I thought it was just like an otherwise kind of weird, out of left field comment to say when he's talking to her about her losing her kid. He's like, you felt it more than most. Do you think that's in reference to her having extrasensory abilities, whatever?
Yeah, well, and he was also, because she was talking, I think, mostly from her kid's perspective of the fact that she misses her brother. And I think he was also saying, well, not only did you have to watch him die, but you had to probably feel it as well on that extra level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I retract my What a dick moment.
He was being like, "Oh crap, you really feel things."
Bunnicorn pizza.
Bunnicorn
What is
pizza.
bunnicorn?
I mean, apparently it's also venomous.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
So it was
A
a
venomous bunny
Is it like-
unicorn.
is
Did
it like-
pacifist girl go hunt some animals?
Yeah.
See, I always find these little kind of notes interesting because I have to think that as you're writing the script, that at some point you want to have a little fun, so you put something kind of out there in it, like a a venomous bunny unicorn.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems like a pretty idyllic world. So if the worst thing is there's a venomous bunny unicorn hopping around.
I'm
It's
excited to
Bunnicula,
think about
yeah.
what this looks like, right? It's like a bunny with a horn.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
they even,
fangs.
I think in the shot, I wound it back to try to figure it out. Like when he's holding it, it looks just like if you've ever, sorry, vegans,
No, I
vegetarians,
haven't.
but
Whatever
like,
you're about to say, I haven't done it.
if
I
you've
know
ever
it.
seen a skinned rabbit, like a fully skinned rabbit, it looked like that, but then it just had it looked like a little horn on the top of his head.
Because at the very beginning of the episode, we see, or when they land
They have a
on
little
Nepenthe,
bunny.
you see a bunny hop around.
Yeah.
So I didn't look for a
Ah.
horn on it.
I didn't
Now
either,
I
so
gotta
now I
back
got to
and
go back to
watch.
that
I gotta
part.
go back
Yeah.
and watch.
Screen grabs. We need screen grabs, everyone.
Find me bunny corns.
I also wrote that Riker looks like Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. Does anyone else know that movie?
I do know that movie.
Trying to
looks
decide
like-
if I'm going to admit that.
He's
Yes.
Bigfoot. he looks,
Yeah.
he looks
mean,
like a
he's-
fucking wild man.
Yeah. He's living that wild man life.
Choopy says the bunny corn is a wink at the dog and the enemy within in the original series.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
That's deep knowledge there.
that is a deep cut.
Yeah.
I have to go back to my sleeping brain. I watch a lot of the original series right before bed, but I end up
Really?
falling asleep right in the middle of the episode.
That I'll admit the original series is hard for me to go back and watch.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
jumping back to Rios and his ship. That ship looks cool.
I've said this from day one. I'm a big fan of the ship.
The more I look at it, the more I get to see different angles of it. I'm like, man, the design of this is really rad
it
looking.
is a
I
great
loved
looking
when
ship.
he slid down the it didn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
he just hopped and held the bars and like skateboarder grinded down the stairs.
For some reason, it had I'm gonna pull a Grant. It had a certain serenity kind of feel to me when he did that. Yeah, that's a Firefly reference.
That's a TV show.
Yes. so
Pop culture.
So it did feel like the slide, like it was his ship. That's he is a bit of a space cowboy. Rios is.
Yeah.
And I dug it. Like I do like this ship.
7 episodes in, are you guys kind of feeling like I could see a second season on this ship? I could see more adventures of this smaller kind of ragtag crew that exists within. I think especially with you saying like Firefly, like I could see this ship existing as a vehicle for a Picard.
I haven't seen what
series.
plan they're laying for season 2 yet.
I haven't either. And I also wrote in my notes, this series is like the worst team up ever because the team up just can't actually stay together. And you keep either killing people or leaving people. Like, it looks like next week 7 of 9 is back. So, am I excited? Do I see it for season 2? Not yet. Because I haven't felt like there's a core group that is together and that we can kind of really buy into. I'm expecting half of these people are going to die or be abandoned. So, I'm not
Yeah.
emotionally invested yet.
I think I'm thinking everything's going to coalesce on whatever this home planet is for her, or we're all eventually coming back to that Borg cube. Those are the two places I feel like this is eventually getting us to in some way, shape, or form, but I'm not sure of which one it is yet.
Yeah. I do know that right now, my favorite character is Rios, right?
I was gonna say, what about this episode? Who's your number one
Still,
of this episode?
I love the fact that Rios, with the exception of the fact that you should be looking at Girardi a little bit differently, I still feel like he's pretty consistent. Like, episode to episode, he's pretty consistent. And so I like that. And he's just really, I'm big on competence. So if you're really good at what you do, I'm paying attention. And of everybody, he's the only one that really seems to know what they're doing in every scene.
They've also cast him as multiple characters because
Yeah,
he's playing all those holograms.
It's hard work.
What about you?
Busy
Who's your MVP of this episode?
Oof. I think Deanna Troi really, her acting like throughout this episode was just really on point for me. I thought she really helped bring Picard sort of back to. It felt like he was getting checked back into himself in this episode more than anyone else has really done that for. And I think that like kind of loving, supporting energy was really there. And she's also, I gotta hand it off to the therapists of the world. Go for it.
I gotta say, one of my favorite moments with her is when she talked about how if anything happened to Kestra,
Right.
she just couldn't. Because I think for so long we watched Star Trek, we see these individuals. I mean, they're basically on a warship, even though it's supposed to be peacetime. Right. They're on this warship, and we don't think about their children or significant others, even when those individuals are on the ship. And to see someone emotionally connect, right, with the fact that, like, I'm different now, right? I can't lose her.
Yeah.
So whatever nonsense you're bringing to my door,
get on out of here.
Like, kick rocks.
But she never did that.
But she did.
She, like, it was clear that she was saying, this isn't the Enterprise, right? Like, don't
rule this roost.
Yeah, don't jeopardize what we have here, right? Like, I love you and you're welcome here, but
I'm out of the game.
But this is important to me, so don't even ask. I'm not coming with you.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I mean, first off, my MVP, I thought Riker being this just big old teddy bear was lovely. Him just showing love and acceptance and being a bro, when I think that, from my perspective, or maybe my own projection, Picard needed that. He needed
a friend.
He needed someone who's just like, look, man, I got your back if you need it, but also I know you don't. I know you'll ask if you need it, and I'm just here otherwise for you, and you're going to do what you're going to do, and I know you. I know you, I see you. I thought that was like really important, but I agree with what you're saying about Troi, and that like this seemed like a pivotal kind of culmination of a lot of what was going on with the development of Picard this season. He's obviously damaged, been traumatized, and how he's reacted to that. He needs friends to kind of pull him away from his worst impulses and make him realize the man that he once was, the person who was the optimist, who saw the good in people, who fought for the goodness of humanity. And I think that her dressing him down and then building him back up at the dinner table and like providing that environment where he could kind of actualize his best self again was really important.
Well, I think the other thing that we saw in this, to go in line with what you're saying, Grant, is for so long we've been seeing him justify his sitting on the sidelines, right? Up until now, he's been like, no, I was making a stand. Riker says, I never thought you should have retired. And he goes, I agree, right? Like, at this point, he's actually admitting that this nonsense he did, and he's also confessing. He has this moment of being contrite, that's saying, I was just whittling away, like I was over here almost waiting to die, and now I have a mission again. And I think that is significant. I have to say, now that I look back on it, I don't know that it was executed in the best way, but I think that's significant to the journey that Picard has been on.
Yeah, I also thought Troy's interactions with Soji were also really helpful through all of this, just because like she is having this huge monumental realization, so much trauma. And so the fact that there's at least someone who is there trying to be like, listen to me and I will not steer you wrong, but I know you can't trust me yet, but I'm going to at least just continue to provide you with all of the things you need to hear. So I thought that was very helpful and important for there to be someone to help deal with some of the trauma going on in Star Trek.
Question for you.
Yes.
Is Jurati dead?
I don't think she's in a coma.
She's in a coma. Is she coming out?
I don't know.
Yeah, she'll come out.
I think so.
I think there's more they need to do with her character definitely so.
I thought she was fantastic in this episode.
Yeah. I thought, her acting was
Her
great.
acting, that's what I mean. Yes.
It was very like, you could see the torment. You could see she was just like, I just want to go home. Like, I'm out. I'm done. Like, let's get me out of here. Take away because I think she's obviously been tasked with the responsibility that she has to kill Soji.
It took me back to, and I've actually been thinking about this all day, an episode with Alison Peel in the newsroom when she comes back from Africa.
Yeah.
And she's cut her hair, and when she finally tells the story, like, that's the Alison Peel I thought I got today. Like, it was like, I see it. I disagree with what you're doing, but man, do I feel every moment of it.
Yeah, the performance was great.
Yeah, like I said, this episode from an acting standpoint is the high water mark of the season for me.
Yeah. Also, good on her for having to puke so many times on camera. And then have foam come out of her mouth. Yeah. She'd have put a lot of special effects in her mouth this week.
She ate a lot of velvet cake.
Yeah.
Jumping back over to Soji on planet Nepenthe. Like you guys were saying, she's going through some issues. And we suddenly see that now that she recognizes she's a synth, suddenly she can learn an entire language in 2 minutes.
That's a
Was that move. Not already like in her to do that before? Or
I mean,
like,
not if she wasn't activated.
Oh, so now she knows how to connect those dots, I guess.
The switch has been flipped.
So, okay. Grant, you may not have caught this, but Mariah, what did you think of the head tilt?
Oh, I mean,
I've seen
Did
it.
you get it, though?
Yeah, I knew that was a Data thing because
Okay.
they did that earlier in the season, right? Or you guys talked about it.
Yeah. There's that moment, too, when she's on the cube and she's like, huh? And now we've
Squirrel.
gotten it again. It is very much kind of, when a dog is like, what?
There was a part, though, where, what's the wild girl's name?
Kestra.
Kestra's like, oh, yeah, me and Soji were just going to go out into the woods. And I was looking at that and like, all right, we've established that Riker and Troy are super protective parents. Picard has known this girl for all of about like 27 minutes or so, I'd say. We don't know why she could be potentially a threat. There was no reason for them to go, oh, cool, yeah, go hang out with that synth. Oh, wait, and Mars, the last synths that existed, took over and burned an entire planet. I just think that for them establishing that they're super overprotective parents, they're not.
Yeah, but this is like your best friend's daughter. Your best friend died, and you find out that lo and behold, they have a daughter that you didn't know about who's lost, confused, and hurt and shows up at your house.
They kind of think that. That's their running theory, but it doesn't really line up with his existence or anything.
But I think they're like, this is Data's offspring, and they don't believe Data would create something that is inherently evil.
Well, let's talk about that then. Did Data create her? Or how did Data have a hand?
It's from Data's DNA.
Yes. Maddox created her, but he could not have done that without Data's original help. Because
Data was special among the synths?
Well, Data was the only one only one being him and his brothers Lauren before.
He started to learn on his own a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And had like some emotional capabilities.
Right. And at one point had an emotional chip, and every time we looked up, Data was trying to recreate himself. He was trying to create an offspring.
Okay.
And so Maddox also wanted to do this, and then eventually was able to basically continue Data's work. It's almost, you think of it as she was artificially inseminated with Data's DNA.
Do I have to?
You don't have to.
I don't want to think of it that way.
I was like, I don't know if I think about it that way. I was thinking it more like, when you have like an old hard drive, all your favorite stuff from your old computer, and you're going to put it on your new computer, but it's all come from the old computer.
And it's going to take up a bunch of space.
Yeah.
Just be a burden.
Yeah, that's what it's kind of like.
Dad.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Daddy hard drive.
That's me projecting again.
Daddy hard drive.
Oh, back to my fanfic, Daddy Hard Drive.
Daddy Hard Drive.
So yeah, they killed Hugh. I'm still mad at that.
Yes.
I'm really mad about it.
They shouldn't have done that.
No.
He was obviously a favorite that people were digging.
I
mean,
really
maybe they
hope
didn't know that.
Seven brings him back using her little nanobots.
Okay, I love that idea. But now Picard seems to have purpose. I'm jumping around here, obviously.
So, well, I also had a question. Do you all think he's beaming up to Rios's ship or beaming up to the old captain?
I thought the old captain, but they did not say. Again, this episode seems disjointed in what it's telling us.
Well, he keeps calling Rios and saying,
Yeah.
Rios is like, it's the same place I was just 2 minutes further from the last time you asked me.
And
Right.
then all of a sudden it jumps to a resolution where they're beaming away to something. I was like, but he just said 9.
Well, yeah, because he was like, oh, they're finally within comms range. And then I was like, is he just going to beam aboard this, like, ship where Girardi's in this coma and they're going to be like, we can't go find this other planet that just has a number or whatever. So then I was like, well, what if it's this other captain-y dude? Or maybe the other captain dude is, maybe Crandall's
Rupert Crandall,
going to
yeah.
come on this ship. I feel like we got to see this, like, unnamed character eventually, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
the whole point, and again, I hate to break that fourth wall and start thinking about the writing,
Right.
but you spent a lot of time establishing this character for us not to see them, right?
Yeah.
So you've established that that Captain Crandall gave Kestra the compass. You've established that they're a captain. You've established that they knew where this planet was. You established that they have a ship. Like, you kept bringing them up, and then just to throw that away seems pointless.
Yeah.
So I was looking like, okay. Well,
I almost want to go
to
to IMDb and see if they've cast somebody for that character. Anyway,
I
I'll do
mean,
that for
That's
next week.
cheating.
Star Trek
I
is kind
know.
of cheating that way. I mean, I'll never trust IMDb after the Vok episode or the incident.
But Crandall's definitely not someone you guys were familiar with. Then.
No.
Because I was thinking, oh, maybe you guys knew who this Crandall
Nope,
is.
nope.
No, it would have been. I part of me thinks it would have been more fun if we did, but it's almost like every episode they're throwing us somebody from old Trek universe. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, all right,
This-
you can stop now.
I will say this episode felt the most like sort of favors to the fans, you know what I mean? Of any
fan
of
service,
the most fan service we've had, but it was like appropriately placed fan service.
Agreed.
So I appreciated that. Do we want to take some questions?
Yeah, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, right about now is a good time to start thinking of your questions and posting them up. Go ahead and tag us if you guys have the opportunity. Or you can just put the word POD at the front of it, and we're going to be checking through those in a second. Before we jump to that, last thing I kind of wanted to note, well, a couple things. One, I thought that was kind of interesting. A little bit meta. Picard is referencing, he's like, oh, this new crew on La Sirena, man, they all just kind of have all this baggage and it's just kind of rough. It seems so much easier back then. And I thought this kind of called back to what TNG was, as well as like how modern storytelling has evolved to like, you have to have a lot more pathos to all these characters. I thought it was kind of
That was
funny.
like a writer's line being like, man, our jobs are so much harder now. We have to write fully realized characters.
And then just this idea of the theme in this episode, how they hit on homeworlds of all these characters searching for their place. Like Picard doesn't feel at home in his vineyard. He feels like he's lost his family and his connection to who he was. And then once he's kind of out in space, he seems to start getting a little bit more of that vigor, that connection to who it is. But it seems more and more realized for him. But that also seems to be the theme that's kind of carrying through for like Soji, who her family was, her history, her roots. And just overall, I'm kind of feeling that a bit more as they really threaded it through in this episode.
So we've got two Chris's, Chris Ng and Christopher Curry, who had a comment that a couple people wanted us to read. So Chris Ng says, yeah, I thought they could have given Hugh and Elnor more time to bond, but Elnor's failure to protect him is needed for Elnor's growth. And Christopher Curry said, Elnor is all alone on the Borg ship now, though, just left no one he can trust. Never been in that situation before, and it will be interesting how he can cope now he's facing his own mortality.
Is he just going to cut everyone who gets near him?
Well, I did watch the preview for next week. So if you don't want to hear what I have to say about it, pause and then skip ahead a little bit or something. But they do show, I'm going to pause. Seven coming onto the ship.
Yes.
I
And
don't
he
think that's
runs
necessarily going to be a
up
big surprise.
and hugs her like it is. Seven is his mom. Like, is like, thank God. And she's just like, it's going to be okay, my little elfin baby. Like, I got you. Like, anyway. So, yeah, he's not handling it well.
No.
Yeah, that's
I
gotta
mean,
be.
but he's supposed to be this super warrior who can like cut down Romulans with a single blade. And
But he's a super warrior who's used to just like living around a bunch of badass women, and he's just like,
True.
I need a badass chick to be my number one.
Seven fits that bill.
his new mama.
Yeah, Mama Bird.
Epic.
Oh my gosh, over here, you're gonna have a whole thing done by the time this
I
pod's
know.
over.
I'm putting some pages down.
Ready to go.
I also thought there was that really nice moment between Elnor and Hugh, where they're like, "Don't worry, together we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get off of here." And I was like, "Oh yeah, this is the team up I've needed."
And then knife.
Yeah, and then like, why? Why did you betray me, writers? How dare you?
P.W. Gregory says that it was Jonathan Del Arco, the actor
Hugh.
who plays Hugh's idea to hug Jean-Luc. Or I think, yeah. I'm
Aw.
not sure if
From
that's a
last week.
question, yeah.
Nice.
Maybe he
so
was just
that's
overcome
cool.
by the Patrick Stewartness of him, and he's like, "I gotta hug you, dude."
Well, I mean, I think that's interesting because when I saw the hug between kind of Will and Jean-Luc, I loved it. Like, again, we're seeing people who genuinely care for the captain, and that hug, it was like this bromance. It was this authentic affection that I don't think we see very often.
Yeah. Did you guys catch the obvious Star Wars reference they made? I mean, I think I mentioned it at the very beginning of this episode. But when Girardi, I think it was Girardi that said it, was like, can't we go hide out somewhere, maybe on a comet, and then we can go into like the mouth of a Gormander?
Nope, that is from Discovery.
Is it?
Yes.
What's a Gormander?
It's that big, like,
Whale?
weird whale thing that Rainn Wilson's character hangs out in.
Yeah, Harry Mudd. That's where
Harry
he was
Mudd.
kicking it.
I thought a Gormander was going to be kind of like the comet in Star Wars, where they hide out inside and then they end up inside of the mouth of the worm on the comet. Remember in the first Star Wars?
Asteroid, isn't it? Or something like that.
Asteroid.
I don't know
comet.
anything
An
about
asteroid
that
and comet are
universe.
two very different things.
I don't know this. I don't know the difference, honestly, but I think that was a Star Wars reference either way, because she said we land on a comet and then we end up in the mouth of a creature. That's the same thing as what they did in Star Wars to hide out
It's
from.
specifically a reference back to Star.
All right, I've got a good question,
Discovery.
Mariah. This might be for you.
Okay.
Cody Karras says, after seeing the sneak peek for next week, it looks like Seven will be hooked into the Queen's cell. You think it'll cause a reconnection to the Borg?
I don't know. I think that was their big teaser for next week. Is you see the cords coming down, and Seven is trying to run away. But we will see if she fights her way off of them.
Okay, guys.
7 is 9 as the new Borg Queen.
What if that happens? What if she has now the power and knowledge of enough of humanity that she can weaponize the Borg cube and like reignite everyone and like make it a new viable threat?
Then she's the destroyer and not Soji. But then maybe Soji is the antidote.
Maybe
for the
Soji
Borg.
is the one who destroys the Borg Queen.
I'm going to tell you, if 7 becomes the new Borg Queen, then I'm in. I'm all in on that.
Does that not destroy her character and its legacy in a way for you? If she becomes so super evil,
But what if
what happened to that redemption?
But what
of
if
her?
she doesn't like? What if she just takes over the collective because now her humanity is so strong? Maybe.
I like that too.
Rainbows.
Yeah.
Everything's
like,
everything's
Seven-
gonna work
I
out.
was like, Seven's not gonna be a
I don't know.
Borg
There's something,
again. I don't
there's
like
something about
it.
7 going evil that doesn't
I don't.
destroy it for me.
I
Okay.
have to really.
Well,
sit on it.
that's on you.
I know.
Buddy.
I'm weird like that.
You're
She just
evil.
did so much work.
All right. Yes. We got a couple more. All right. Chris Ing says the better Star Wars reference was the Boba Fett tracking and chasing the Falcon after the Star Destroyer let them go. Carolyn says this is for Chakotay fan Mariah.
Yay.
Not great how Kestra's presentation as a wild girl of the wood was borderline indigenous. And we all know Star Trek's indigenous representation was not great.
No, not great. Yeah, the face paint. But Yeah.
All right, and I think I've offended Choopy. So Choopy says, no, Seven will not be a Borg queen. No, Seven is not evil. No,
Thank
no,
you, Choopy.
no.
I agree,
Sorry.
Choopy.
It's happening.
No. Team Mariah and Choopy.
Clyde and I are going to make this happen.
No. I'm not in that boat. I was just saying if it happened, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It'd be interesting.
It's going to happen. She's going to kill Picard, and then she's going to go back down to Nepenthe, and she's going to kill Riker.
No, I actually
Troy.
think that there's a chance that Soji could become the new Borg.
You're like,
queen.
no.
Ooh. See, I'm more into that.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
attached to
think
Soji in
Soji
any way.
could become the new Borg. But like I said, my biggest dilemma now is I have some doubt on whether or not I think Soji is good or is actually the destroyer.
I don't know.
Christopher Curry says, in Star Trek VI Undiscovered Country, there was a Lieutenant Valeris that was a rogue Vulcan. So Vulcans can go bad, and Spock's brother in Final Frontier projected images into minds. Wait. Spock's brother, but that we know Vulcans can project images, right?
Yeah. But that's my question, is if it can be any image or it has to be a memory or like something true. So that was my question. So maybe that is the answer, that it could be
You can project
ideas.
lies.
Yeah, you could project lies.
Phil Reardon says, Hugh wanted to take the cube away from them for good. Perhaps that is Seven's endgame as well when she arrives. Maybe she just wants to destroy the whole
That's
cube.
what I'm saying. She's going to get connected and be like, go Super Saiyan and just like explode it.
Okay, that would be a dope scene.
Right?
We
Love
have
it.
like, what, 3 episodes left?
3.
3.
She can't just destroy it right away there. Are we going to see...
I was like, that scene they teased, I bet is going to be the last scene of next week. Where the tubes are coming down. Yeah.
That would be pretty great. Chris Ing... Wait, did you already say this one? My take on Seven scene connecting to the cube
Nope.
was that Seven is activating to the cube to defend against another real threat coming in.
That is what Mariah just said.
Yeah, okay. That works. Either way, Seven is a Borg queen, and she's going to destroy everyone.
Or at
All the
least people
bad
in that
people.
vicinity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
people,
because it's
bad
not
people.
that
Seven
that
hero.
cube isn't connected to the collective anymore. So she's really just connecting to that cube, not to the collective,
All right.
because it's offline.
Okay.
Should we wrap up there? I guess.
Sure.
I think that's a good
guess
space.
we could
Feels
do
good.
that. Listeners, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us here on Star Trek Discovery Pod. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube or on our podcast, wherever you're checking this out. And you can also tell other people about us. Go
Tell a
ahead and
friend.
spread the word about this podcast. If you guys want to reach out to us, you can get in contact with us a couple different ways. You can hit us up on our social media accounts, or, you know what would be even better? Patreon.com/Star Trek Pod. Go there and make a per episode pledge of at least $2 and come join us on the Slack channel. Then you guys can definitely chat with us to your heart's content. We all love talking about not just Star Trek Picard, but the entire Star Trek universe.
There's been lots of good videos from the cruise this week happening. So lots of fun behind the scene pictures and videos and reposts and all kinds of fun gifts.
Shenanigans on the boat.
Shenanigans.
Maybe one day we'll make it out to that boat cruise.
As long as they
Sounds
pay
like a
us to be there.
Crazy good.
It would be fun.
I feel like you go on a cruise now, you're just gonna get stuck on in the harbor, like quarantined.
Right.
not
I
going on a
don't,
cruise right
I
now.
don't know how
cruises.
they haven't canceled all the cruises yet. Grant, where can people follow you and your work on the interwebs?
Okay. Check me out over on either Instagram or Twitter at Baron Von Grant, and I usually list all the other projects and podcasts and stuff I do. You can see me on other things as well.
Yeah. And
Mariah, what about you?
I'm at Mariah Gossett on all platforms. That's Mariah with a Y and Gossett with 2 S's and 2 T's. And I'm just going to remind everyone that you can also check our whole back catalog of every episode of Discovery, which we know is coming back. So if you're planning your rewatches, get ready and
Nice.
have us along for the ride as your companion.
It's gonna be awesome.
You can find me, I think the easiest way to find me is on the web at keyandclyde.com. That's KEI and Clyde.com. You can also find me at Twitter at Clyde Haynes. Yeah, I'm excited for next week's episode. I'm also excited about Discovery.
Yeah. So we're going to beam on out of here. Live long and prosper.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Here, Van person.
we're going to keep talking because Grant has to hit a button. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
We're out of here.
Sometimes you just have to